So this week could have been a disaster, but I suddenly realised I had a bit of rich girl energy. And this rich girl energy is what got me through an absolutely terrible week. And I wanted to share it with you. So let's get started.
The Happy Money Journey team want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past and present.
I'm Phoebe Blamey, and I'd like to welcome you to your own Happy Money Journey, Australia's leading money podcast for midlife women. Here is where your story changes. I've got practical tools, smart strategies, and a community of women who are rewriting what wealth looks like in midlife. So whether you're dealing with debt, building a business, or finally just putting yourself first, you belong here. Welcome to your next chapter. Today's episode is sponsored by Entourage Finance and Property. Entourage is a finance and property advisory business whose mission it is to help Australians grow their wealth through property. With services including home loan lending, buyers and vendors advocacy, and car finance, Entourage supports Australians in achieving their home ownership dreams.
Everything we talk about is general in nature. Specific advice to you can only be given by a finance professional. So if you need someone, reach out.
I have had the roughest week this week, and I want to share it with you because it's opened my eyes up to something that I'd been doing that I wasn't even really conscious of. And I'm so happy I did. And I want to share it with you because if you do the same thing, if your life is changing, these are the things that make all the time that we're spending organising our money actually worth it. So this week, I've pinched a nerve in my neck. I could barely move my head. I could barely move at all on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday of last week. I was in massive, massive pain. Now, anyone that's self-employed will understand that taking 3 to 6 days out of your business because you're injured is actually really hard to do because there's not a lot of other folk around that can jump in and step into some of the things you do. So you actually need to cancel things. And when you cancel things, you don't get paid for those things that you're cancelling. And it really, really feels bad. It felt to me like it was a bit of weakness because I wasn't feeling okay, which is bad, but something innate in me, something says power through. And this last week, it was absolutely impossible to power through. But what it did make me realise is that I've created some rich girl habits around my life that actually saved my life last week when I've had this pinched nerve in my neck. So I want to share them with you. Today, I want to share 4 things in particular, and that is I have systems. I choose joy over convenience, I choose abundance over scarcity, and I let lifestyle creep in a little bit. And they're my 4 rich girl things that I did that I wanted to share because a couple of weeks ago we did broke girl habits, which was very much about intentional shopping and consciously making choices around how we ate and how we consume. And this week it's about how we actually up-level our lives because we've got a bit more money and a bit more control over our money and the difference that it can make when life hits the fan. So let's start with the systems. I am the biggest believer in manifestation, visualization, creating the life that we want by picturing it first. But none of that works unless there's a system in the background that is backing it up. And my systems saved me last week. I have accounts set up, I have my cash cushion, I have my emergency fund that I can draw on. If I'm not getting an income, I have my debt sorted. And I have most things automated, so I don't even have to think about them. All I need to do every week is have a look in my accounts and just make sure everything's tracking well. I do it on a Friday morning. I do it with my business. It's not a deep dive. It's a very simple, very quick, let's just look at how things are going and making sure they're going okay. And that has been a huge game changer for me. Now, I've been lucky enough over my years of being in financial services to be able to look into other people's accounts and the way we are with our money. And so one of the things I've seen over the years is really, really complex account setups where there's a lot of action needs to be taken by you to be transferring money in and out of the right accounts. I watch my clients Matt and Sherry. Now, just please note, I've changed all names to protect people's privacy, of course. But they had the most complex system of envelopes, all operating as savings accounts with money popping in for personal spending, household bills, joint accounts, separate accounts. All in all, they had about 12 accounts and at least half of them had a balance of less than $100. With the point being it would make them more organised. But I disagree. I think it made them a slave to their money. Those things are like dams on your flow of money. They block the flow of your money because it doesn't need to be complicated. It needs to be as simple as possible so that when something happens to you and you're unable to move your right arm like I was this week, it doesn't matter because the systems and all the things are in place already. And I've seen so many people fall for that trap, like Matt and Sherry, where all they're doing is trying to get good with money. They're trying to make good money decisions, but instead they're making money more confusing and harder to deal with because it's more confusing, because they've made promises to themselves, but in reality it ends up just causing a whole lot of stress because someone has given them the right way to do something and it's just not working for them. If we, for instance, use Elizabeth Warren's 50-30-20 rule on how to spend your money, so 50% of all your money goes into basic costs of living, 30% goes into your fun and joy and things like that, and 20% goes into saving for the future. That in theory is a more simple approach and again, a great start. But those things only work to a degree because they give some sort of structure while you're working it out for yourself. But you have to be prepared. It's an imperfect system because some weeks it'll be 80% that you spend on yourself, on your basic expenses, and other weeks it'll be 20%. It might work out over the year, but it's never the same because you've got different things that come up. You get your rates once a year. You might be doing them quarterly. You might be paying them all at once. You might have rent. You might have a mortgage. Those amounts can change over time. They go up, but they can also go down. You might have plans around your electricity and gas and all those things to pay them off. Or you might have bills that just come in when they come in. Back in my broke days, I was very good at literally having a payment arrangement for absolutely everything in my life. So rather than get a quarterly gas bill and a quarterly electricity bill, I used to pay by the fortnight. So it came out the same amount, the same time as my salary came out. So I could absolutely manage those expenses. And I see this in so many people that are trying to follow someone else's rules when it comes to money. They are not very forgiving of themselves. The systems that you create for your money are for you. I'm happy that, you come to me, you read the book, you listen to the podcast, you watch the YouTubes or you do the courses. We give you an outline of the structure for opening your accounts, for how to sort out your money, all those things. Because they're the things that have worked out for me and for my clients, and because we use real figures and real life to get it right. What you need to do is feel it out for yourself and work it out for yourself. We'll provide you with a broad outline of how to do it, but money is different for everyone. There is no formula that we can follow that gets it right every time. You might have different aged children, you might have a husband, you might have a wife, you might have a parent that's needing care, you might be traveling overseas for work. Your life and my life is not the same. So having those systems are essential, but having them suited to you is even more essential. This week, I was saved by having the basics that we cover in those systems, like the cash cushion, the emergency fund, the bank account set up so that the direct debits are separate from your everyday spending money. But they're just the foundations. How you use that and how you do that moving forward, that's on you because it has to work for you. It has to be the thing that allows you to step up. So being in financial control, getting our debt down, knowing where our money's going is an absolute gift to ourselves, particularly when we're not feeling great, particularly when things aren't particularly going right. And we need that little extra support because that little extra support is always supporting ourselves. It's making sure that we're in a position to look after ourselves when life hits the fan. Have a system, but make it your own. My next one is I chose joy over convenience. So what that did for me this week, it meant I had a whole lot of food in my freezer. And the trick is to cook a little bit ahead or not cook too much. And I'm not necessarily going to feel like eating spaghetti bolognese 3 days in a row or, stir-fried chicken or whatever. So I have food and then I have frozen meals that I've made too much of and kept. And that frozen stuff is the thing that actually saved my life this week because it meant I didn't have to order takeaway. I didn't have to have pre-prepared yucky food because I already had it in there. I know that sounds much more like a broke girl habit than a rich girl habit, but think of it this way. I have all these beautiful things like good quality foods that are really tasty, which is a rich girl habit because it's what you can buy when you can afford it. It's yummy condiments, it's high quality mayonnaise, and it's just stuff that stuff when you're not feeling great is the absolute difference between going and getting takeaway and actually having something lovely at home, because it's the lovely at home thing that has been the winner for me this week. And it's so much easier to order takeaway. And I know that busy mum syndrome. My friend Carly is so guilty of that all the time. She is an Uber eater. She's constantly telling me this is easier and cheaper than cooking at home. She lets her family order whatever she wants because she's got teenagers and she's got sick of everyone having different meal requirements and different meal times. But she knew that the spending was out of control. So you know what she did? She put all her requirements into ChatGPT and it came up with a weekly menu for her that suited everyone's eating. And this has literally saved her thousands. But more than that, she is no longer letting convenience block her joy. And I say that because choosing convenience rarely leads to precious moments. It's more like food is late, cold, soggy, and not great. It's a big rich girl habit to nurture ourselves. And that can mean beautiful food, lovely sheets on our beds, quality clothes, shoes, all the things that make us feel really good. And given that I spent half of last week in bed, it was wonderful to have nice sheets. One of the best things that I've ever done. It's about getting in and getting the really good stuff, not settling for cheap stuff, but getting the good stuff. And that's something that I am absolutely so grateful for at the moment. Choosing to spend a bit more on something that brings me joy and not spending on cheap, easy solutions because they seem convenient. Abundance over scarcity is my next one. Absolutely having that mindset around I'm going to be all right. The first afternoon, I'd just done a big online presentation, and the whole way through that online presentation, it was like I had multiple knives in my back. It was so painful, and I was trying to pretend it wasn't painful. I was trying to keep my spirits and all that sort of stuff, and I think I did okay. But I was hoping to find a new client from that presentation. Instead, I had to go to the doctor and the physio and sort myself out. So no follow-up or anything, and such a shame because I'd worked on it. But here we are, self-employed and looking to really launch my coaching services. And instead I can't move. It was so bad. And I had to talk myself out of it. I really did. I had to say to myself, okay, yes, you have clients that you're not going to be able to see this week. You have things that are going on that you're not going to be able to do because you're in pain. And when you're in pain, you cannot show up for someone else before you've shown up for yourself. So I did it. I cancelled what I needed to cancel. I changed what I needed to change. I organised myself. And then I reminded myself that I'm okay. I've got money sitting in the background. I've got access to funds. I am not afraid. Like nasty things could be happening around me and there's things that need to be done, but I'm okay and I'm going to remain okay. And I'm grateful that I'm okay. And it came home to me because I've got a friend, Sharon, who had something similar happen to her, but she absolutely avoids her money all the time. She has no credit cards. She has no credit. So because she avoids money all the time, she doesn't have a backup plan. She doesn't have emergency funds. She doesn't have a cash cushion. She gives herself that scarcity narrative that says this won't work out. Money is finite and there's not enough. So when something happens, she gets stuck really quickly, and that's scary for her. She's not someone that has any kind of control because that avoidance removes your control completely. And when we're in avoidance, we're living in a headspace of scarcity because it's scary for us, and it doesn't need to be. It can be okay when we make it okay. And what we're doing is giving ourselves permission to live well, giving ourselves permission to look after ourselves. It's such a broader thing than just having the money. It makes such a difference in the way that we live because she can bring the money in, she can manifest the money in, but because she's got no structure on the other side, she can't keep it. So it just keeps running through her fingers. I think someone once told her that credit cards are bad, which I don't think they are, and they can easily be a cushion to fall on in our business. There's a whole lot of great reasons to have lines of credit and things that actually take care of you when you have those slower months. Having yourself set up and structured often comes with a bit of credit as well. Doesn't mean you're failing or you're failing in business or you're failing at life. If you sometimes access credit, and I mean most of us would have had to access credit to buy a house, but making sure we have a few backups just in case. If you are in constant money avoidance, you're not going to have access to all those things. If you've got systems, if you've got structure, you can see your life as abundant. You're not in fear. You can't make a good decision when you're full of fear and you're full of shame and you're full of anxiety. We need to, when we're making money decisions, particularly because money touches all of us all the time, we need to be clear. We need to have clarity. We need to have calm, and we need to have absolute control. And it's when we feel out of control that gives us that feeling of scarcity and lack. And then we make bad decisions, and that's just all about avoidance. Had I not had that mindset of abundance, that reminder to myself that actually everything's going to be okay, it's temporary, or as my friend Dave says, my mantra is that everything always works out, so I could focus on healing, knowing I had that safety net. And the fourth thing is letting in a bit of lifestyle creep. And lifestyle creep is something we are all told to avoid. Stay frugal, but part of life is enjoying what we have. And I don't mean necessarily going to the fancier places, but a little bit. Buying the fancier food, get a little bit of fancy going on everywhere. But letting in that lifestyle creep so that the doctor I go to is a good doctor. I'm not scratching around for a bulk billing guy that's got 5 minutes to see me. I can go to a proper doctor's appointment. I've got health insurance with extras, so I can go to the physio. I've got quality and exercise and things to do on the daily to keep myself feeling fit, feeling good and well. And wellness, I think, does cost a bit of money. I've got a good friend, let's call her Frugal Fashionista. She's an absolute joy of a human being, but she hates spending money, and she particularly hates spending money on the things that she describes as useless. Why would she get health insurance when she can get most of her healthcare free on Medicare? And those choices are great choices while we're young, and that's what's suiting her. But what she's missing out on is that beautiful lifestyle creep where things just feel a little better, where you've backed yourself, where you've got money to spend on those self-care things that you probably avoided when you didn't have so much. It's an interesting stat to see that we don't go to the dentist or the physio or get our car serviced, and in not doing those small things lead to bigger issues later. I cannot tell you how grateful I am that I have private health insurance this week. And that was big lifestyle creep for me, spending more on extras so that I can look after myself well. Because what it's basically meant, instead of going to the physio once, I could go to the physio 3 times. I'm the same out of pocket, plus the cost of the health insurance, obviously, but I'm the same out of pocket had I gone once with no health insurance or 3 times with health insurance. Now, that friend of mine who really likes to say frugal and keep things positive, she doesn't allow herself that sort of lifestyle creep. And living that better life, bring it on. Those things add quality to your life. They add joy to your life. And these things are important to me because they're the things that I couldn't get when I was poor. When I was broke, I couldn't afford health insurance. I couldn't afford to go to the decent doctor. I couldn't afford all those things that have made my life so much better this week. And that lifestyle creep has made such a difference. So I am all for a bit of lifestyle creep when it's actually going to give you the advantage of maintenance that stop things becoming an emergency. So they're my 4 things: systems, joy, abundance, and a little bit of lifestyle creep. Making things better for yourself as you earn more money or enjoy the money that you're actually earning, because it's never actually about the money. It's about what you can do with it. It's about how it enhances your life. It's about all the amazing things that you get to be when you've got a little bit of control over your finances. And I promise you, it's not necessarily about having more money either. Although as we get more money, let some of that lifestyle creep happen. But as we get more in control, we find more joy. We can go out and do what we want with our money because we earn it and we own it. And that's all I want for everyone, is to just live your best possible life, even when you can't move your right arm. So have a good week. Thank you very much for listening. And whatever you do this week, make sure you enjoy your journey. Thanks for listening to my happy money journey today. If something clicked for you, share it with a friend who's also navigating life's glorious midlife chaos. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, or comment on any of our socials. We'd love to hear from you. And when you're ready to go deeper, head to phoebeblamey.com.au for courses, freebies, and more money magic. Remember, you're not too late, you're just getting started, and it's all about enjoying the journey.
Thanks again to Entourage Finance and Property for sponsoring today's podcast. You can find out more about what Entourage can do for you at entourage.com.au.
The information shared on my happy money journey is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or professional advice. While I am a financial educator, the advice given may not be suitable for your individual circumstances. Always consult with a qualified financial professional before making any significant financial decisions. The views expressed are my own and do not necessarily reflect those of any associated organisation. Listener discretion is advised.